Okay, guys, I suggest we start, and in a couple of minutes, I'm going to fix the case with the web presence, and then Irina will be able to join. Welcome to all of our guests. Welcome to all of our speakers. Let me see if everything works. Yes, audio speakers. I'm just mentioning beforehand that we are recording this webinar. So afterwards, people who couldn't join could watch the recording and get all the value that everyone being here live with us will be able to get. So again, welcome. A little bit of context of this webinar. The Beyond series is a format which we started almost a year ago here at 11 Ventures, which focuses on a specific industry, case on fintech. We look into what lays ahead of payments, authentication, traditional banking, investment opportunities, lending, and more. And the goal of the webinar is to bring together people from the industry, from fintech sector, from the banking industry, and provide them with insights from some of the front runners in the industry. The third edition, today's edition of the Beyond Fintech webinars, has a focus on the topic of growth and scaling up your company. Talking about front runners, today with us, we have 4 guests. For now, we have 3, but we're pretty sure that soon we're going to get the 4th one as well. The first one that I would like to introduce is Sergiu Negut, who is co-founder and executive vice president of FintechOS. The second one is Stoytcho Vlaykov, who is co-founder at Cashwave. And the third one is Mayank Somaiya, who is head of Fintech Partner Connect and venture partnerships at Visa. The 4th guest, which we are waiting for, is Irina Scarlat, global head of growth of Revolut. So, Mayank, I hope you are here and available as well, because I'm not sure if I see. Yes, I see your video. Okay, perfect.
I guess you can hear me.
So, our great discussion host today, who will be facilitating the discussion, is Daniel Tomov, managing partner and fintech lead partner at 11 Ventures. So without further ado, Daniel, off to you, and I will try to join Irina shortly.
Thank you, Nick, and welcome everybody to our webinar. It's one of my favorite topics. At least it's a word that almost every day it's present in our discussions several times when we talk with our companies. Growth, growth, growth. So we'll talk everything about growth. It's one of the most positive words for me this year. So let's start with the first question to Sergio and to Stoytcho. Could you share with us what was a pivotal moment for you guys this year in terms of your growth story? Because both companies, I know that you're growing. So what was something that was worth mentioning and pivotal for your growth? So Sergio?
The quote of the year, you're on mute. So well, thanks for the invitation. I think it's great to be here and to be able to share a little bit about who we are and what we do. And people from the audience, please ask questions, because I think that's very important for a good discussion. Now, the pivotal moment, I think we were pivoting and spinning like anything that I've seen in March. Because if you remember how it was a level of uncertainty that we've not seen before. We were preparing for something. Of course, you're a high growth startup, therefore everything is uncertain. But then add some pandemic to it, and that had the prospect of, I don't know, drying finance and drying money on the customer side. and deal with that. And this is what we were dealing with. And I think it was not only me, with the investors saying, and what's your runway? And why don't you try to extend that to double? Why don't you try to get a runway of 18 months? But we can't. Okay, maybe you should. Maybe you can. And I think this is something that we we've all gone through, and we relearned thinking in multiple scenarios. And pivoting every 2 weeks from scenario A to scenario B, from B1 to B2, from B2A to B2B, and something. It's been complicated. And I think we luckily, towards the end of the summer, we got the feeling that, yep, it's going to be okay. So although life is not life as usual, business, with the exception of people that are really in sectors that are affected by the pandemic, business is business as usual, and investment is investment as usual, with an outlook that is outlook as usual. And I think that was the second important pivotal moment when we realized, yeah, hey, this is it. We have to get back to, focus on, on creating the circumstances such that not only we have proven that, yeah, we can grow during the pandemic, but we have to prepare the stage for the next growth. So we have to go back to the investors and tell them, hey, we're going to go out there and try to raise another round. And this is, and it's not a big secret, but this is work in progress, and it's not going to be finished this year, but next year. But yes, we are fundraising for Series B.
Perfect. So you're on a growth trajectory.
But in terms of what was essential, maybe a good moment in the history of the firm for this year, was when the Europas, which is this major event organized by Mike Butcher of TechCrunch every year, listed us, quite surprisingly, I must say, as the hottest fintech of the year. After participating in a competition where we thought we would be the outliers and participating to get some experience, and after winning this, which was won in previous years by Starling Bank or by Revolut, suddenly gave us a bit of muscles and visibility that are coming very, very handy right now.
Perfect. Great. Stoytcho, I know that you have also pivoted this year, and this led to some very good results. So could you share with us, something about this pivotal moment that actually unlocked this growth opportunity for you?
Yeah, so just to mention that Cashwave does not have the pleasure yet to have a VC on board. So this is why Danny's timing is a bit off. We pivoted 4 years ago. We were trying to do a B2C product, didn't work. And then we will, sometimes you need luck. We got a call from a contact in London who introduced us to his first client in the so-called employee rewards and recognition space. And I see some people on the call from there, and also some partners on the vendor side, on the retail side. So a big shout to everybody. So basically we switched, and what we do is we supply these programs with electronic gift cards. These are basically, this is kind of money which can be used at a certain retailer. And I think the moment for me in March, which was troubling because the company is 9 years old, so we've seen a couple of crises, was, you never know what's going to happen into the banking system, and we handle a lot of money every day. So that was a big worry. And then the second worry is, although we do a lot of e-commerce, basically most of our brands are from that space. If we'll have trouble with some of the retailers we work with, thankfully, none of that really happened in a major way. And on the contrary, it turned out that actually, basically our clients switch a lot of their redemption even more towards e-gift cards. And my only worry basically was how to meet the demand and how to ensure that we deliver and fulfill without any trouble, causing any trouble to to clients, because all of these customers are large companies. They had to move to home office. I mean, it was incredibly stressful moments for both the client side and also the retail side, which we work with. So as we are intermediary in the middle, our main goal was basically to ensure that the transactions are delivered, that the service is there, and basically the volume and the orders are served. So we definitely have benefited from the e-commerce trend this year, clearly. As I said, most of our partnerships, we started Central Eastern Europe, and now we have basically offer gift cards from pretty much any country in Europe. Most of the focus partnerships are in the e-commerce space, and obviously that benefited a lot. So I was, as any business owner, I was thinking what I'm going to do if everything drops 50%. Turned out that in the country, volume increased by 50%. So I guess we were lucky in that respect. What we were, let's say, worked on for 3 years is to have the systems, the processes, including the finance and the cash flow management process to be able to meet this growth and basically really fulfill what we do for our customers and don't cause any trouble in this extremely stressful moment for many of these partners.
Right. Mayank, I mean, from your perspective, you're head of the Partner Connect program at Visa, and you're helping startups, actually scale-ups to grow. So could you share a little bit how you actually help startups to grow through the program? And from your wider perspective, what were the growth challenges that you've seen this year, and how companies managed to overcome this?
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Can you hear me? You can
just perfect.
Check. Yeah, great. No, thank you for the invitation, and pleasure to be here with everyone. I think we are in unseen times, right? And this is now becoming quite a cliche to repeat this. I'm not gonna keep on saying that, but globally, the ways to pay and get paid have changed rapidly, and the pandemic has just accelerated that or changed that in a different trajectory. Money management or money movement and consumer experiences are going digital, and fintechs are starting to play a super important role in the development of next generation payment solutions, and we know that, we see that on a daily basis. Before I touch on the Fintech Connect, I think just overarchingly Visa's strategy around fintech and so to provide increased support to the fintech ecosystem. One of the things Visa just recently did was sort of bring in new components to our very existing successful program, Fintech Fast Track. So we brought in a partner toolkit that can support growth. We introduced a certification program, which is Visa Ready for Fintech, that can support new use cases like digital issuance and other key services. In addition to that, after a 10 to 12 month soft pilot, we recently launched the Fintech Connect program, which is basically complementary to our Fintech Fast Track program, and the idea is designed to provide financial institutions and businesses in Europe with a suite of enhanced capabilities and solutions. And the way we do that is we combine Visa's own capabilities and products with our fintech partners. So the idea is to bring more enhanced solutions, more joint capabilities to the market. I think it has been a tough climate as well, but I think we have also seen quite an increased demand in fintech services and the uptake of that as well. So I think it's been both ends, and more we see that we are starting to see more of these innovations coming in, using technology to bring in value-added services or something that is really providing value add to the payments ecosystem. So the Fintech Partner Connect is sort of designed to continue to do that for businesses, for our financial institutions, and work with fintechs to bring those next generation payment solutions to the market.
Great. And Sergiu, going back to what you do, I mean, I was wondering, you in a way, you equip the incumbents with all the weaponry to stay competitively in the game against guys like Revolut and others. So do you, I mean, and this type of transformation and seeing some of the fintechs growing really fast, how these dynamics actually, which is external to you, affect your growth? I mean, is it the incumbents becoming stronger by the day using your technology, and how this, I mean, how you actually you incorporate these external dynamics in your growth strategy?
Well, I am so let's take advantage of the fact that Irina hasn't joined, so we can speak about fighting back on Revolut and stuff. No, I'm kidding. I think we're in an ecosystem that is growing, and I think what at the end of the day matters is providing the customers with the best possible financial services, personalized for them, available on their preferred channel, in the context that they want, the way they want it. This is the priority. This is what will happen. I have no clue who will be able to do it faster and better and offer an integrated level of financial services for the final customer. But I have some feelings. I have some feeling, the feeling, for instance, that governments will continue to support the systemic banks and will continue to allow them to be the market makers and to do whatever it takes in the more, if you want, predictable economies of North America and Western Europe in a way that we're not seeing anything close to the end of the incumbent. Second, I expect that very different level of financial services, especially the more superficial, retail-oriented, let's say, impulse buying thing, would be democratized even further. So the advance of people like Revolut and N26 and Monzo will continue. The advance of Apple Pay and Alipay will continue. The advance of different mobile wallet solutions provided by everyone that has a large pool of customers, such as telecom, such as energy, such as retail, will continue. They will start making their own financial services. At the same time, the backbone of very complex financial services, mixing SME and mortgage and deposits and consumer loans, into understanding very deeply a very complex kind of individual, this will remain with the more traditional players. And I think at the end of the day, irrespective who approaches this journey of transformation of the industry and where you start from, it all boils down to the same thing. People having access and being able to do complex stuff easy from afar. And if you can do that, and this is where our technology comes in place, it's not necessarily for the incumbents to defend. It's not necessarily for the new players to start. It's not necessarily for new entrants like the telecom to get into the market. But it's necessarily for everyone that wants to build a better customer experience for their existing clients and for their future clients. For everyone that is willing to pivot and to understand more about their customers and be able to segment and resegment in real time and be able to aggregate more sources of data in short cycles of weeks. Now, this is something that tells me something about the future of the financial services as they will be delivered by the current incumbents, by the new entrants in the market, by the people that are approaching financial services with a huge base of consumers from different industries.
Great. I mean, it sounds very exciting and liberating. So, and Stoytcho, there are a number of fintechs and their technologies growing as we speak, and these models or new technologies provide better opportunities for startups like yourself. And you've just mentioned in the prep talk that you are able actually to grow now just because of some emerging technologies, or actually something that is existing now and not before.
Yeah.
So probably you could share this, because it's something, this type of growth everywhere in the ecosystem, the way Sergiu described it, is actually, I mean, it's leading to kind of exponential growth to all other players as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably pick up here Irina's hat and do a little bit of a pitch for Revolut services. But yeah, I mean, what we are doing is we transact in, I don't know, it's probably now 15 currencies, basically 3 continents out of Bulgaria. So we buy and sell from retailers in 30 countries. And have to transact in all these currencies. And basically we use we don't use one, we have a backup of course, but unless we could leverage what companies like Revolut or TransferWise or the others as well offer us as a one account from which you can convert efficiently currencies, make efficiently payments in local currencies, accept payments in Polish zloty, I mean, we still use our currencies here in our part of the world. That would have been possible 5 years ago. So for our model to scale, we need an efficient way to do this using the traditional banking system. I mean, honestly, it takes me 3 months to open a bank account in Romania, or just doing the KYC and so on. It's become really hard. So these companies, while they are more or less B2C companies, they allow their functionality to be used as in sort of a platform where you can build an international business extremely fast, if that's your core business, which is basically transacting and doing payments across different geographies, different currencies. So that's, for me, is again an example where you start in one corner, you offer a service. I mean, Revolut obviously B2C, we use their business service. Again, we're extremely happy. We have a couple of backup options. I'm sure there will be new and better alternatives going forward. But without this, we couldn't have been here. So that's an example how this ecosystem feeds on itself, right? So their platform gives us the opportunity to be efficient and grow internationally.
Great. And I understand that we have Irina.
Oh, perfect. I hope she heard my pitch.
Joining us. So,
yes, I did. Finally, I managed to log in.
Sorry, Irina. Yeah, we're waiting for you. I decided to do a little bit of marketing for Revolut, right? So, sorry.
So welcome, Irina, to our chat. It's pretty exciting. And I have a question to you. I was actually I wanted to start with it, but I didn't. But I will ask it now. So you were actually part of a very exciting growth story about Revolut in Romania. So you were leading this effort, which for me is pretty extraordinary. So and you've built a very large base of users pretty quickly, and this is something that doesn't happen that often in our part of the world for a consumer product. So, I mean, to the extent that it's possible, I would love if you could share with us some of the learnings or maybe some tips to entrepreneurs that are heading into this consumer space as well.
Thanks a lot for the very nice words. I think it should happen more frequently in our parts of the world as well. So I've been through this exciting journey twice now in Romania. First with Uber and now with Revolut. I think there are a couple of key things that we can do in order to replicate this. So over time, I've developed, like, that's my own hyper growth equation, I call it. I think it's a matter of doing things right. First things first, and this is something that we've done consistently both at Uber and at Revolut, and I'm sure it's a model that could work for literally any B2C startup. First thing was to engage in product-driven growth. So if your product is bad, nothing you'll do on the marketing growth side is going to actually matter. So in the very early stages, our growth was mainly fueled by new product launches and the product development, and we've been literally obsessed with making our product the best product that exists out there. And we are still focused on innovating and on product innovation and on building new product features according to the needs of our users. The second layer of growth is community-driven growth, and it's not enough to have an exceptional product, but what helps you to reach hypergrowth and to grow at scale is to actually build a strong community of users around your product. And this community can be built, and I think this model is valid for B2B businesses as well, at a much smaller scale, of course. What's important is to also build that community, starting from your most active users, the early users, the loyal users, to capitalize on the power of community. And we've done a lot of work, particularly in the early stages. We've done a lot of work around building a strong community around the product. And only then, in the third stage of growth, we're talking about marketing-driven growth. And here we're talking about looking at different marketing channels, ATL, BTL, performance marketing, you name it, but not before you went through product growth, and not before you have a strong community around your product.
Great. But we are very much believers ourselves in building communities. Not that easy, but once you have it, it works in a great way.
Nothing is easy.
Yeah. Sergiu, going back to your model, because it's a B2B model, and I mean, in a B2B model, when do you know that you're ready to really scale up? I mean, at what stage, with how many customers you should have, or that are happy with your product? Or when did you understand, okay, now is the moment, we nailed the product, the value proposition, and now we are ready to scale, we need the investors, so we have to go, I mean, with full-blown forward. So when was this moment for you?
Frankly, from the moment we sold the first time.
Really?
Yeah, from the moment we because we started with a concept, and we were looking at the industry, and we were looking at what was missing, and trying to fill that gap. And the moment then we had an MVP that could be sold to a corporate. We're B2B, and our clients are banks and insurance companies, and if you want, or new entities that are entering the financial sector, they are large entities. So the moment we had something that they would be interested to buy, and these are, even a small bank is a large entity. It's not precisely a startup or an SME. So the moment we were able to sell to someone, and they were able to use the technology in order to build new applications, new customer journeys, new something, we knew that this is something that immediately requires massive amounts of effort. And that effort means, of course, a bit of money to start scaling. And it doesn't mean that the product was perfect, or it was complete, or our positioning was exactly the one that we have today. There is still a lot of pivoting to be made.
Right.
But I think we were starting from the beginning with the idea that this is something that will grow, and that will require the resources for growth.
Right. And just a follow-up question. I mean, if we put in the context of the growth of Revolut, where they from certain point of time they have a network effect and there is this hyper growth kicks in. Do you experience a similar network effect within your model?
Yes, we do, but it's a bit of a different in B2B as opposed to the B2C. In the B2C, you need people to be there and to the more your neighbors are using it, of course, you start using it. The more you have the advantage of being able to send, receive, and so on. And Revolut is a phenomenon, so I shy away to compare with them until we get to that stage. Although, as I said, I'm proud to have received the prize that put us on the trajectory. Now, you need something in B2B. You need references. You need other people to tell that you're smart and good and your solutions work. And obviously, you can't go to the HSBCs of the universe and the Lloyds of the universe and sell to them from the beginning something that is, supposed to impact their technology and their interaction with their customers, especially if you're a small startup. So what you need other people to vouch for you. And the easiest way to do that is to go first for, second tier, third tier clients, approach them, be successful with them, achieve certain customer experience, certain success for them in their business, such that it can be seen in the market by the bigger players. And the moment you have 2-3 different references with 2 different use cases in our case, then it starts, becoming this avalanche. And it grows naturally, but landing those first opportunities is complicated.
Right. Mayank, you're in a very interesting and in a way privileged role in the whole ecosystem. It's like once there was a guy who was talking about China walls and saying, okay, somebody should stay on the wall to see what's going on both sides. So in a way, I mean, you have this network of networks and you're supporting both companies like FintechOS and Revolut. So you see how the whole ecosystem is developing. And I mean, the current advancement of digitalization in the financial services, I mean, this trend, which of the 2 parties favor this trend? I mean, the fintechs like Revolut, or rather the incumbents? I mean, how do you see this trend, and what are the growth potential going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it is very interesting, and I think yes, of course, being in a great position, and I think Visa being potentially, if you call it one of the first fintechs to start growing out and build out this network, and now moving into this network of network strategy that our CEO talks about several times, and how do we build that out, and that's primarily to leverage these new payment solutions, next gen payment solutions. I think if you, again, alluding to my initial points, I think fintechs have started defining sort of what these next gen new solutions start to look like. Existing incumbents, I think, are starting to identify those opportunities, are getting on that trajectory, finding parity, competing, and in many cases even leveraging the fintechs to form partnerships in terms of building out those solutions. So, I mean, we recognize the challenges. We recognize the challenges on both ends, right? As fintechs start to grow, there's a lot of elements as part of that growth and scale where Visa can support and thus support. Fintech Connect is a great example. Fintech Fast Track is a great example, and our partnerships with Revolut, for example, and several others in the market are great examples of that. I mean, recognizing that building, integrating these new solutions and existing journeys with incumbents is a complex structure. It is complicated, and that's where Fintech Connect sort of comes in play, is where we want to do as much as possible to simplify that. One, we want to build new solutions with Fintech partners, whether you look at things like core banking infrastructure or things like subscription management or sustainability banking. The capabilities that go behind it, combined from the fintechs, combined with Visa's network and Visa's own APIs, actually help build that enhanced solution. And that's what Fintech Connect wants to do. We want to bring that to our client partners, the businesses, and help execute on them in a simplified way. So simplify that complex structure that is there, and the implementation that takes time. So I think both are on the trajectory and continuing to digitize. I think fintechs have this natural advantage of being native digital and sort of the role that they're playing to define the next generation of payments ecosystem within what we all see and various use cases that are developing around it.
Right. Stoytcho, going back to the growth. I mean, you've been building a few companies in the past years. So today, given this fintech revolution, how do you see this as a growth potential for you? I mean, is it easier? Is it more difficult than before? I mean, this, in spite of all the challenges of this year.
I think it's very exciting because there is kind of a detachment which I see happening between the, if you want, the traditional financial and banking system, which was designed. I mean, if you just imagine you have to enter what, a 16-digit IBAN number, which any normal person cannot remember, to make a payment to somebody. It's insane. I mean, if you come from Mars and look at this and somebody tells you, so this, you have to have this number in order to pay Danny, they'll tell you, okay, who thought about this, right? So I think the existing financial system is overcomplicated for many, many use cases. And what is happening, and my industry is an example, as a company is basically what we do. A company wants to reward an employee, but not in cash, but in value. And what they do is they pick a gift card and they move it via email. If you compare it to the traditional way of paying out money, it's just not comparable in terms of ease of use and convenience. And what I think is basically you'll see these kind of use cases which create their own networks, if you want, parallel payment networks. Also, these networks allow different business models, because if you take 50 euro from a retailer, the retailer, if you buy at volume, will give you discount. Now, if you have a discount, that allows all sorts of business cases, which if you move 50 euro as cash to 50 euro as cash are not possible, because you have to move the 50 euros. Nobody gives you discount if you move 50 euros from my bank account to your bank account. So the banks, I mean, I've spoken to banks. I try not to too much about to them. It's a completely different world. So they don't understand all these new trends emerging. And I think regulation is a big part of this. Banks, because of the financial crisis, have become over-regulated because of obviously very valid anti-terrorist legislation, anti-money laundering legislation. Some use cases are just not suited anymore for the traditional financial and banking system, and they'll find their own way to build networks. I mean, Bitcoin is an example of that, if you want, basically to create their own ecosystems where it can execute use cases in a much more efficient, quick, instant way. I mean, a gift card I can send you instantly without having to think if this bank is connected to SEPA, PSD2, and all the rest of it. I mean, just, I don't care. It's an email, you get it instantly, there is your money. So that's the trend which I find most exciting. All these parallel, basically, use cases and parallel, I call them hybrid money and hybrid payment forms, which allow much more convenience, but also different business cases to develop. For me, that's the most exciting part of that industry or these trends.
Irina, I mean, now I've read an article where I understood that you actually are growing this year, like from 2019 to 2000, almost 2 times, maybe more. And how do you manage to maintain the excellence of the service? Because it's easier when you have a smaller number of clients, but when it increases, what's the secret behind?
I think that the secret comes with drive and grit. So Revolut has grown, and we are here today due to our customers. So the customer has to be front and center always. In product development, in customer support, and we're not perfect, but we prioritize these things, and we prioritize building for the customer and solving problems for the customer.
Right, and I mean, from your perspective, you continue growing, so your customers will start, and I think that based on the way you develop as a product, they will start perceiving you as their new bank. So how do you see, like?
I do.
I mean, like. For example, I mean, do you imagine that Revolut will become like a meta bank, like international bank? You have like 50% of let's say current user customers in Romania become Revolut users.
Yes, of course. I was just, if we talk about Romania specifically, I was just reading yesterday that only 6 local banks have more than 1 million users, and we're approaching 1.5 million users. Yes, we aim to become the world's first truly global bank. We're going in that direction. We've already got our banking license. We're working on passporting the banking license. We've recently launched and expanded the product portfolio to launching credit in Lithuania. And as we're passporting the banking license and we're going to operate as a bank, we're also going to diversify our product portfolio. Yes, we're going in that direction.
And okay, a challenging question then to Sergiu, but I will leave it for a second. And I mean, it's a very, very inspiring vision, I suppose, for the whole team there. And so is it, how do you manage to actually to manage this growth and the increasing people behind you? Is it more challenging today than, for example, it used to be like 2-3 years ago? I mean,
so I think that yes, it's definitely more challenging because 2.5 years ago we were a bunch of people and we could all communicate informally. Now I have 15 teams across Europe, APAC, and the United States, and it's much challenging to keep everyone aligned. Managing people and managing teams is a full-time job in itself because you've got so many people with needs that are so different. I think the key is like we're at the point where we're too big to be managed like a small company, but too small to be managed like a big one. I think the challenge is to actually build processes that scale, because by building processes that scale, you're going to be able to, your org structure and your organization is going to evolve to keep the pace of your growth. Yes, it's more challenging from some perspectives. It's easier from other perspectives. Now we have the resources. Back in the day, we were thinking what to do ourselves. Now we have very talented people, very smart people who are owning our priority markets and are working in those markets. So I think there are challenges and opportunities that come with it.
Right. Sergiu, I mean, as far as I know, you doubled your team in the last 1-2 years, and also you have two great VCs on board, maybe 4. Okay, so sorry. And how? I mean, because it's early, you still have a few investors. So, what has changed with having the VCs on board? How they helped you with the growth strategy? I mean, apart from the pure money. You're mute.
Is this recorded?
Yes.
Yeah, watch out what you say now.
So you could say only good words about investors.
Okay. No, joke aside, we have 2 funds from the seed, and we have two funds that have joined the Series A, and the seed investors have followed in Series A. And as we proceed to raise the Series B, we have the commitment of all the 4 funds to continue investing in us. And I think this is very comforting for someone who is embarking on such a journey of high growth, and being able to have convinced the existing investors who know the company best that this is something worth supporting and worth investing further. And this is the most important thing. Now, of course, there are differences between different investors, but the most important things that we got out of it, aside from the money, and money of that kind of magnitude is important. But aside from the money, what is important is, I would say, this, let's say, distant view, helicopter view, someone that is not there all the time doing things with you, and having the experience of having seen many other companies going through the same struggle in different situations, having seen people failing in thousands of ways, people succeeding in a few different ways, and being there to ask questions. Have you thought of this, and have you thought of that? And maybe you have thought of 80% of the things that they ask you if you have thought of. But there are a few things where this is, very, very interesting. The other thing that investors do, and they do marvelously, is, especially some of them, is meetings like this one, where you can meet other people that have done it better than you, have done it earlier than you, where you can learn about things that are to be done, and making introductions to other entrepreneurs that have exited in the meantime, or have grown companies that are larger, and where you can ask your own questions about how to build a more effective sales organization when you're not sure if you want to build something for the next 9 months, where you have certain priorities, or for the next 2.5 years, when you have different priorities, and you can't play with people's careers and lives and so on. So these are very relevant questions. And the other way to if you want work together is you're running into difficulties. You're running into all sorts of problems, and having the network, the accumulated network of a number of good VCs is something amazing. Because it's still about, someone knowing someone who knows somebody to solve something. And if you look at even the ecosystems, the investment ecosystems, and how you jump from a round to the next one to the next one, they are related. They are to people, being known. So you have this investor that we have heard of. That's very interesting. And they say, what can I talk to them for a reference? And this is like climbing on steps, except that the steps are not of equal size. You're stepping on the first step, and then the next step is like 3 times as big, and the next step is like 3 times as big, and so on. So it's a bit of an effort every time. It's not like you learn something and it will apply indefinitely. But I think, working with investors is especially valuable for the things that you don't necessarily expect from them.
Right. Thank you very much. Very, very interesting. Irina, you've been a founder yourself in the past. Which is more difficult, to grow your own company or to grow Revolut?
For me, it's the same. For as long as I'm here, and I think we have both people working in companies and founders here. So for founders, the lesson is only hire people that treat your company as their own, because otherwise it's not going to work. I wouldn't have managed to grow Revolut if I would have treated it as a job. I don't think it's a comparison term. I think that by being part of the team and not owning the company directly, so not being the founder of the company directly, you get the best of both worlds, because you still get the dynamics of a startup, and you still get the passion, and you still get the drive. But at the end of the month, you're not the one paying the stressing out for paying your team and everything. Which helps particularly for me as a marketer, because I get to focus on the marketing side of things. This doesn't mean, if you're working for a tech company, this doesn't mean that you're actually throwing money out the window, because you shouldn't. So I don't think I don't think there are a lot of differences. And back when I joined, so if I would be to join the Revolut of today, it would be much easier to keep growing Revolut, because Revolut is already a brand. But back when I joined, Revolut was not even a unicorn. We were a 200 persons company, and we were a small company. So I think it's a kind of the same journey.
Right, right.
And also, I'll have to apologize and jump off in the next 3 minutes, because I have another call. So if there's anything else that I could answer, I can do it now.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, I appreciate that you managed to join us. Thank you very much. We'll continue. Mayank, I have a question to you, because we have to wrap up anyway the call in a few minutes. So, what do you think are the major challenges for fintechs next year? What founders should be aware of? So, what would be your advice to founders from the perspective of Visa?
So I think that my main advice is to focus on the customer, and stay with the eyes of the prize. I think with the eyes on the prize. I think that this year was very special, and to say it was challenging would be an understatement for everyone. However, in the fintech world, there are also a lot of opportunities besides the challenges, because we've seen credit card adoption speed up at an unprecedented rate, and our partners from Visa can confirm this. We've seen people are still spending, although international travel is lower than ever before. People are still spending. So for fintechs, there are a lot of opportunities in this area. So my only advice would be to stay focused, keep the customer front and center, and keep growing without throwing money out the window, preferably.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, and I'm going to jump off now.
Okay. All the best.
Bye.
Mayank, I have the same question to you. If you could share your perspective on the challenges you had.
Yeah, I think advice is a strong word. I think anyone who's a founder out there has gone through a significant journey by themselves, where they continue to learn this. I think Irina's advice was sound as well. A couple of things I think from my side, I truly believe in, and I see that's happening, is one, I think we are very much at the beginning of the fintech revolution, or not just fintech revolution, the way payments is evolving, the way banking is evolving, the way the entire ecosystem is evolving. We are very much at the beginning of it. So focusing on use cases versus technology, leveraging that technology to be focused on use cases that is actually solving the real problems, that's actually adding value to the ecosystem. I think that fundamentally, with consumer focus is a key thing, as I see, in terms of, because ultimately the consumer will decide which way they go, what they choose, how they choose. But these amazing founders and amazing fintechs that are coming up, and in many ways they're leading the way. In many ways, they're setting a complete new trajectory where incumbents are also starting to leverage those, learn from those, in some cases even leap on some of those technologies. I think focusing on ultimate use cases, leveraging technology would be key for me from that perspective. And we continue to do that. I think we personally continue to support that, and we as Visa also continue to innovate in that spirit. I mean, Fintech Connect is just one example of us doubling down on sort of digitization, working with growth state, scale-up fintechs to bring those new use cases in a way that makes it less complicated for them and for the ecosystem.
Great, thank you very much. And just with a few words for Sergiu and Stoytcho, what's your advice for growth for next year? Sergiu?
Sergiu, go ahead.
Well,
you have to help the banks grow, so it's a big challenge.
I don't know. It's as I said, with our clients are also telecom companies and also retail companies and also energy companies that are building new financial players. And our final clients are always the consumers who have to have better services. So I think at the end of the day, going back to what Irina said, it is about, focusing on the customer and understanding deeply what the customer is about in the current context. And I repeat, in the current context, because there may be technologies out there that are absolutely amazing, but they would be financially mature, and not mature in the technological point of view, but they're not mature from the point of view of creating a massive wave of adoption only in a more distant future. So I think if you're in this space, in this business space that we are in, I think look at the shifts in customer behavior that are happening already, and they're happening to a size that is worth investing in, and bet on those trends. Bet on those trends. The world is changing, yeah, and we get to influence that change when we have become of a certain size, like Revolut does today. Up until then, you have to look where the changes are and accelerate a little bit and be ahead, be together with that, but make sure that there is a business trend there that is happening and you're part of it somehow.
Thanks a lot. Stoytcho?
Yeah, I mean, I cannot agree more. This industry, financial industry, is very conservative. Obviously, now due to regulation and technology, a lot of things are changing. Some are changing faster, some are changing, especially in the B2C space, B2B space, sorry. It takes time. I think you have to be persistent and just wait for the moment. I mean, I know we have a VC here, shouldn't say that. They want to see this 10 times growth in 3 years. It does, you have to time it to some extent. You have to feel the pull from the market. So I agree with Sergiu, we have to monitor what's going on. I would say you should hang out with a lot of young people because this is where the changes happen, also in this space. But again, if you're asking about next year, I have a very, very smart investor, former colleague of mine. He always tells me when I have a downtime or a down moment, every successful startup is a 10 years overnight success, right? So nothing happens instantly. You have to be persistent. You have to, again, keep your customers happy. In my business, I have customers which are my B2B clients. I have their clients which need to be happy. I have their employees which need to be happy. And then I have to also have the retailers which need to be happy, which is a challenge in itself. So it's a multiple challenges. You have to juggle them. But again, the moment you feel the pull, you have to be ready to go for it.
Thanks a lot. Thank you all for being part of the panel, and thank you for all the people that joined us today. I just give the last remarks to Nick to wrap up the webinar. So thank you very much again, and looking forward to our next webinar. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. I wanted to say big thank you to Sergiu, to Mayank, and to Stoytcho, and to Irina for making it despite your busy schedules and despite scaling such a big companies and taking care of so many things. Thank you to all of the participants that we had. The recording of the webinar will be available in your inboxes tomorrow by lunchtime. So again, have a great evening. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you on the next webinar on the topic of fintech again. Thank you, Sergio, Mayank, and Stoytcho, Dani as well.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for setting this up.
Bye-bye. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.